It's Friday, June the 14th, 2024. And I've been mentioning in other videos and posts today that it was my full intention to watch this interview between Dr. Phil and Donald Trump, but I have found that there really is no need for me to watch the entire interview. I understand why it showed up on my feed and what the message is, which I will share with you. The important thing to know is that this particular interview validates a few things that I have spoken over the last 2 to 3 days, and some videos that I posted last week. And what Dr. Phil is doing is a clinical psychiatric interview, because I know I have very often been asked if people with antisocial personality disorders can be helped. And the answer is only if they want to be helped and they are able to clearly identify what it is they have done wrong and what they would like to see different themselves, so that their own lives will be improved and therefore the lives of all the people around them. And you cannot do a motivational interview, and that essentially means that you are actually listening to what the person is saying and responding in ways will encourage them to continue the dialogue by being a journalistic type of interviewer. You have to sort of feed into whatever will make the person feel the most comfortable so that they will be their most authentic self, so that you can accurately evaluate their judgment in the way that they think. And that is exactly what Dr. Phil is doing in this particular interview show that he did. So it's really an opportunity for people to truly look at Donald Trump and how he thinks about the things that he is being asked. And I will highlight one particular clip that both gives a full example of what I'm suggesting Dr. Phil is doing in this interview, as well as how Donald Trump sees himself in the greater world community, so that people can ask themselves whether or not this is the kind of person that you would want to lead you, because then that also exposes how you think and your own judgment, which makes it a lot easier for the people around you to weed you out. I also found that there were plenty of reactionary videos, which you would expect. Anytime something about Donald Trump comes up, people are going to create media and content around it. And the way people have chosen to evaluate what they watched, if they viewed the entire interview, will say a lot about them and how they think about themselves in the world community, because that's generally how questions to Donald Trump are posed, because he is running for president. But because these are individuals who are offering commentary, it trickles all the way down to their own lives in their own community. And those who are exposing themselves in ways that cause you to question their judgment based on how they evaluated the interview itself will raise a flag that might encourage you to investigate them more personally, in the way that I suggested in my post about Nick Cannon just yesterday. I posted this particular message in response to a set of social media posts about a comment, or a series of comments, that Nick Cannon made about Father's Day and his plans to spend it with his 12 children. And it's significant. The reason why I jumped to his defense is because of the transparency he demonstrated in the council culture series that I did a video on as well. In the video that I reference, or the episode I reference of council culture that I talk about in this particular video on my YouTube channel, I will also share a clip of, to help you to appreciate the reverse of this clinical interview that Dr. Phil is doing as the psychiatric professional, and how Nick Cannon interviews Umar Johnson as a client talking to someone who markets themselves as a psychology professional. They both done the same thing with the same goal, which is what I was hoping when I first discovered the counsel culture series that Nick has been doing, because people can change and people can heal, but they cannot fully heal from their trauma if the people who cause their trauma continue to do so, because you cannot heal from trauma as long as trauma exists. And the significance in listening to Donald Trump's answer to the question I will show in this clip is that some of the things that Donald Trump says in response to Dr. Phil's question in the clip that I will share are things that I also have said. The difference is the context within the statements that I have made similar comments, and what my ultimate goal is for myself, my own family, my community, and the world at large, which are vastly different. And it's an opportunity for you to be able to better discern the psychological or personality disorder state of the people who you choose to lead you. The first question needs to be, what is it that you need in your own family, not just you individually, but in your own family, to feel safe, to feel healthy, and to feel happy. And at the root of that must be that your biological family is together and are encouraged to stay together, which means you're provided the resources, you're provided the support, so on and so forth, to allow that to happen. Because that is the only way we'll be able to weed out the people who really can no longer be here because they refuse to make the changes and the corrections they need in their own individual behavior to allow that to happen for everybody else.
And I've made the mistake in the past to often just regurgitate things without doing the proper research. And we talked about this in the last session, of like the responsible voices of being able to just say different things because we heard someone else.
Yes, sir.
So for counsel culture, it's about creating dialogue, creating safe spaces to have these conversations and learn. And more importantly than learn, to heal. So I left off at the end last session and starting off this session with asking a professional, a doctor of clinical psychology, do you feel I'm irresponsible as an entertainer, as a black man with, as people say in the community, a super father, or some people even could say someone who has created many broken homes. I have 12 children.
Okay.
I am an open and free-spirited individual who, like we talked about before, feel everyone has the ability to live their life in which way that they wish, and I pass no judgment on anyone.
Yes, sir.
I entertain, and in that same form, I've created shows like Wildin' Out to various different shows, to Bad versus Wild with Zeus, and all type of things where I've been ridiculed, and people often, irresponsible is light in what they've called me online. And I say that to say, if there is a place that I've been responsible, because as we know, Malcolm X probably said it the best, that the media is the most powerful tool on the planet because it can have you, loving your oppressor and hating the oppressed. But me knowing that, and me knowing that media
is a great time to attack Ukraine.
You think it emboldened him?
I think so, yeah, I think so.
Let me ask you this. Right now, headlines everywhere, of course, you don't respect, but there are headlines out there that say, when you win your second term, that you are going to make the people that have come after you pay. Retribution and revenge.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this before you even respond to that. I want to play what if with you for a minute. What if when you win this election, you said, enough is enough. Too much is too much. This is a race to the bottom, and it stops here. It stops now. They've made a half a dozen or more major attempts to take you off the playing board, and you just said, it stops now. I am going to rise above this cycle of ugly. I'm not going to play this gotcha retribution game. It stops now. I'll forgive, I'll not ever forget, but I am not going to play this retribution game. I am going to put the American people first, not getting my pound of flesh first. You got to do what you got to do, but I'm going to put this country as the shining city on the hill. I am moving forward. I'm not playing the retribution game. It stops with me, it stops here. What if you took that approach?
I'm okay with that. I am. I'm okay with that. Sometimes, I'm sure in certain moments, I wouldn't be. You know, when you go through what I've been through, they spied on my campaign. You know, they spied on my campaign. Remember I announced it? They did things that people don't even talk about. And I got rid of Comey, and I got rid of a lot of people. I got rid of a lot of people. Thousands of people. At the VA, I cleaned it, 9,000 people. They were sadists, I got rid of them. But what they've done is bad. With all of that being said, we have to unite the country, Phil. The country has to be united. This country is a mess.
Every situation needs a hero. What a great opportunity for you to stop this cycle, this vicious cycle of gotcha, gotcha back, gotcha, gotcha back. Every situation needs a hero. What a great opportunity to step up and say, you know what, it stops here, it stops with me.
I think you'll be impressed. We have to unite the country. We have to save the country. That's not really saving the country. There are people that did some bad things. I know who they are and all of that. But as an example, with Hillary Clinton, I'd mention her name. Everyone's screaming, thousands and thousands. Yeah, we just had 107,000 people show up in New Jersey. You saw that. 25,000 people showed up in the South Bronx.
In the South Bronx.
But we had Wildwood, New Jersey. 107,000 people. It was a record. They've never had that. When I mention the name Hillary previous to the last election, they said, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. But I would be there, and I'm trying to almost quiet them down. They were going crazy. How would it be I win, and I lock Hillary Clinton up? The president's wife, the former president's wife, I locked her up. And how would it be if I took the Secretary of State, she was Secretary of State, and we threw her into a prison someplace? I think it was terrible. And yet now they're trying to do that with me. Think of it. I didn't want to do that. I could have done that pretty easily. She busted up her phones, and she busted up her laptops, and what they did, and they put bleach bit. You know what bleach bit is? It's so expensive nobody uses it because it's an acid and it wipes everything out. Could have done it real easy. Don't forget, she disobeyed a subpoena from the United States Congress, and she broke up all this machinery, all this technology, after she got the subpoena. Think of it. How would it look if I took a president of the United States wife and threw her into a prison? I hated it because I wanted to bring the country together, and I largely did. And I brought it together through success because it was the most successful economy in the history of our country. Okay. Now the difference is they're trying to do it to me. And maybe you could feel differently about it, but I don't feel differently. Retribution is going to be through success. We're going to make it very successful. We have to bring the country together.
And you can do that.